Hello everyone, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Michael and I've got some peaches today. I'm going to make a peach cake and I know you're going to want to watch this video because it is really delicious and is really easy to make. So I've got a baking dish here. I've got a 10.5 by 7.5 and I'm going to go ahead and put some butter in that. We're going to grease that down. We want this to release when we get through baking it. So I've got some softened room temperature butter here and I'm going to take that and I'm going to apply that to the bottom of our baking dish here. And then I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to rub that around all around the bottom and the sides. We want to make sure that we get that on the sides because our cake is going to rise and we definitely want that to release today out of our pan. So make sure that you get all of the interior surfaces there with your butter. Now I've got the butter on the interior of my baking pan. I'm going to take some flour here and just like when you're doing a regular cake and using a cake pan, I'm going to put just a little bit in there and we're going to flour that pan as well. All right, I've got my pan ready to go now. I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to go back here and turn my oven on now to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that we got our pan and our oven heating up, now let's go ahead and start working on our peaches. So I've got a peach here and I've given these a good wash. And with the peaches, if you look at the center here, there's a marking that runs around the outside of it. That's going to tell you where that the seed is or the stone that's in the middle of that peach. And you're just going to take a knife and we're just going to run right down to where that is and just follow that peach around. And once we get that cut there, you'll just twist it with your hand in opposite direction. And that'll pull that apart just like that. All right, so now that we've got that there, we're going to take that and we're going to remove that stone out of that. All right, now that I've got my peach pulled apart, I'm going to go ahead and cut these and I'm going to show you about what size I'm going to cut these in. This is the size I'll be cutting those in, so the back is probably just a little over 1/2 inch. Now that I've got that first piece cut, you can do one of two things. You can take your knife and you can go in and you can come in and pull that skin off the outside of it. I actually like the skin on the peaches when I bake that, so I'm going to take this one off here, but for the rest of them, I'm going to leave the skin on them. And it's completely up to you if you want to leave the skin on or not. It's your choice. So that comes off just like that, and I'm going to continue to work on the rest of these peaches. Now I've got all of my peaches cut out now. I'm going to set those to the side, and you might need more than 3, depending on what size peaches you got. These are fairly large ones here, but even when I get started on this, I might have to cut up another one. So definitely have an extra 1 or 2 laying around just in case you might need a little bit more than what I've got, or you might need less depending on how big they are. Now let's get started creaming the butter and the sugar together. So I've got 1/2 cup of butter here, or 8 tablespoons, and I'm going to go ahead and put that into my stand mixer here. Stand mixer is going to make it just a little bit easier. If you don't have one, you can definitely use a hand mixer just so that we can get the butter creamed together. And I'm going to take a knife and I'm just going to kind of cut this into smaller pieces. That way it will blend up together a little bit easier. All right, I've got my butter in my stand mixer now. You want to make sure that your butter is at room temperature, and we'll be using eggs also, so bring those up to room temperature as well. That'll make the blending process a little bit easier when we cream that butter and that sugar together. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start my mixer on low, and I'm going to cream that butter together just initially, and then we'll be adding the sugar in just a second. Now that we've got our butter initially creamed, I'm going to go ahead and turn this back on, and I'm going to add my sugar in slowly to the mixture. Now that I've got all my sugar in there, I'm going to let this cream for about 2 or 3 minutes. About halfway through, I've come through now, and I'm going to give this a good push down with a spatula and make sure that all those ingredients will get blended in together. All right, now that the butter and the sugar has creamed together there, I'm going to go ahead and get my eggs now. So I've got eggs at room temperature. I need 2 eggs, and I'm going to break these into a separate bowl just to make sure they're good. And this one looks really good. I'm going to go ahead and turn this back on, and I'm going to add these one at a time. All right, I've got that cream together now, and I'm going to go ahead and take my spatula here, and I'm going to push that down one more time just to make sure that everything gets incorporated. And if there's any stuck on the bottom of the bowl, we want to get that all mixed together. My next ingredient now, I've got 8 ounces of sour cream, and this has been sitting at room temperature. You want everything to be at room temperature. When this bakes, it all bakes evenly together. Now I'm going to add the 8 ounces of my sour cream into the bowl. All right, I've got my sour cream in now. I've got 1 teaspoon of vanilla. This is my homemade vanilla. If you've never seen my vanilla recipe, how I make that, I'll put that link in the description box below. Go check it out. It's really interesting and really easy to make. I'm going to add in my 1 teaspoon of my vanilla now. I'll turn my stand mixer back on. We want to blend this until everything comes together smoothly. All right. That is looking really good. I'm going to take my spatula again and just make sure that everything is scraped off the sides and the bottom and that is all mixed together. It looks like it really is, but I'm going to give this just a few more seconds and then I'm going to work on my dry ingredients. All right, that looks really smooth now. Let's take our dry ingredients, and I've got a bowl here with a sifter in it. And I'm going to put 2 cups of all-purpose flour, or that's 240 grams. I'm going to put that into my sifter. I've got 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You're basically making self-rising flour, so if you wanted to use self-rising flour, then you would omit the baking powder, baking soda, and salt, and then just use your 2 cups of your self-rising flour. All right, I've got that sifted together now. I'm going to turn my stand mixer back on, and I'm going to add this in slowly until it gets incorporated. So with cake batter, you just want to make sure that everything gets combined together, because the longer you blend that together, and it'll make your cake very dense. So now that we've got that mixed together, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take this out. I'm going to clean off my paddle with my spatula, and I'm going to give that one last spoon through there just to make sure that everything did get incorporated and it looks like it did. Now we're going to take half of this batter and I'm going to put that in the bottom of my pan. And you can see here, this is a really thick batter. Don't be alarmed when you see it look like this compared to a traditional cake. This is what it's supposed to look like. Now you can use your regular spatula, but I find that this offset spatula that I've got here works really good, and we're just going to kind of smooth that around on the bottom just to get every surface of that covered on the bottom. Now that I've got the bottom layer of my batter on the bottom of my pan, I'm going to go ahead and take my peaches and I'm going to line those up and just kind of make, you know, just nice little shapes like we have here. This is where it's going to tell if how many you're going to need. You might need a little bit more or a little bit less. Now I've got my peaches in there. I did 2 rows of 8 of these, so you can definitely space these apart if you'd like to, if you don't want as many peaches in there. I really like the peach flavor. This is a peach cake, so I'm not going to go sparingly on those. So I've got a 1/2 cup of sugar now, and I've got a teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm going to put that together. I'm going to grab me a small whisk here, and I'm going to whisk that together. I've got my cinnamon sugar now mixed together, so I'm going to take me a spoon and we're just going to go through and we're going to sprinkle that over our peaches and the bottom layer of our batter. So that was about half of my sugar mixture now, and I'm going to go in and grab the rest of my batter and put that across the top. Now I'm going to come in with my offset spatula again and just go ahead and spread this over the top of that peach layer. Now, like I say, if you don't have one of these, you can use your spatula or the back of a spoon. All of it works. This just seems like this gets it spread a little bit evenly around the top. Now we'll come in with another layer of peaches. All right, as you can see here, I did another layer of 8 and I started on another layer of 8. I need another peach, so I'm going to go ahead and cut one of those off camera. Now that I've got that extra 1/2 peach on the top of that, now I've got 2 layers of 8 on that. Now I'm going to put the rest of this sugar on the top. I've got the rest of my sugar now on the top of my peaches. I've got my rack in my oven, like on the bottom 1/3 of the oven. I'm going to put this in there and we're going to bake this for about 45 to 55 minutes. I'll be checking it with a toothpick, and when it comes out clean, you know that it's done at that point. You definitely want to make sure when you're picking your pan, you can see here that the top of mine is about 1 inch from the top. You definitely want to make sure that whatever container that you use has got deep walls on it, because this will rise and you don't want it rising out over the side. I'm going to be putting a baking sheet under my pan when I bake it. That way, if it does come over the side, I've never had that happen in this pan before, but just in case it does, it'll have somewhere for that to go, and you want to clean that oven up. And it also helps it by not sitting directly on the rack and sitting on that pan. It'll kind of help distribute that heat out a little bit more there, and it'll help it bake more evenly. All right, I'll see you back when it's done. I am back and I have plated my peach cake here. I want you to see how pretty that is. Look at that, how decadent that is with those peaches in there, with those different layers as it baked through there. This is really good. It smells incredible. I know you're going to love this recipe. Let's give this a try. That is absolutely delicious. I know you're going to love this recipe. And if you like this content, maybe you might consider giving me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Leave me a comment in the comment section if you make this cake, how yours turned out, and if you did anything different to you. I'd love to hear from you. And while you're at it, check out one of these other 2 videos over here on the side. You might find something else you like. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in my next video. Give this recipe a try. I know you'll love it. I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye now.